It was long after Orbie found out that if you hang your bathrobe up by the belt, a lot of it lands on your head. And it was long after Katie asked Orbie to show her the Big Dipper in the night sky one more time. And it was long after Orbie fell sound asleep in his cozy closet that it happened. In his dream, Orbie was about to pop a balloon, but instead of a pop, he heard Katie cough. Orbie was just blowing up another balloon in his dream when Katie sat right up in bed. Orbie heard her and jumped down from the closet and came over to the bed. He made his quietest "what's the matter" noise as Katie rubbed her throat. "I don't feel very well. I think I'm sick." Orbie looked into her face. She sure didn't look very happy. Orbie tiptoed into Mom and Dad's room and asked them to come and make her feel better. Mom hurried to Katie's room. Dad and Orbie went to get a thermometer. Dad went straight to the medicine cabinet, and Orbie went straight to the window. At the very same time as Orbie made his "I found it" noise, Dad said the very same words. Orbie was a little surprised. Dad moved over to the window and said, "This is the one for Katie. It tells us if Katie is too hot inside her body. That one in the window tells us if it's hot or cold outside the house." Katie sat in the bed with the thermometer in her mouth. She could keep it there under her tongue without wiggling it and without crunching it with her teeth. Orbie thought Katie was pretty magic to be able to do that. Katie giggled a bit. Dad told Orbie it was because she was growing up. I know Katie felt proud to hear that, but instead of a big smile, a little tear rolled down her face. When Dad took the thermometer out, Katie told them that she had a very sore throat. Orbie thought Mom should kiss her throat and make it better. But instead, Mom went downstairs to make a little drink to take away the soreness. Dad told them that Katie had a fever and that they needed to bring it down. When Mom came up with some hot lemony stuff, Dad had already pulled off the blankets and put a cold washcloth on Katie's head. Orbie wanted Katie to feel better right away. Dad told him that sometimes feeling better takes a while. Maybe Mom's warm drink would help. Katie drank it and Mom helped her hold the cup. Orbie waited to hear that Katie felt better. She finished the drink and lay back on the bed. Orbie leaned in close to her. He made a very soft "Do you feel better" sound. She whispered, "Not much." Orbie looked at Mom and Dad. Couldn't they make her feel better? Dad told Orbie that they would have to go to the doctor's office to get help in making her feel better. The next morning, bright and early, Mom and Dad wrapped Katie up in a big blanket and took her to the doctor. Soon they were all in the examining room. Orbie wanted to know what they were going to examine, and Mom said that in this examining room, they don't examine things, they examine you. It was right at this moment that Orbie noticed all the strange objects in the room. He hoped that Katie didn't notice them because they looked a little scary. I don't think Katie did notice because she was lying down on a long, flat bed thing with her eyes closed. Dr. Hewitt walked into the room and closed the door behind her. "Well, Katie, I hear you don't feel too well," she said as she washed her hands. Katie sat up and said, "I have a sore throat." "We don't want that now, do we? Let's have a look." Dr. Hewitt put a stick into Katie's mouth. Orbie's spots turned bright red, and he was about to make an awful noise when Katie said, "Ah!" Mom told Orbie that Dr. Hewitt needs to look in Katie's throat to see if there's a problem in there. Dr. Hewitt pulled the stick out. "Katie, it's no wonder that you don't feel well. You have a pretty sore-looking throat." Then the doctor listened to her heart. Orbie moved over to Katie and listened too, but he didn't hear anything. Dr. Hewitt said her heart sounded just fine. Dr. Hewitt put the thing she listened with on Orbie's ears and told him it was called a stethoscope. It helped her to hear her heart beat. Orbie listened, and he could hear a thump-thump, thump-thump. Next, the doctor picked up a little machine. She told Orbie it was an otoscope for looking in Katie's ears. Dr. Hewitt chatted as she shined the little tiny light into Katie's ears. Katie sat very still and did exactly what the doctor told her. Orbie watched and wondered what the doctor saw. Nothing there, said Dr. Hewitt, and Orbie was glad. Next, the doctor reached for a strange-looking thing that went around Katie's arm. It looked like a thick bracelet, but it was high up on her arm. It was called a blood pressure cuff. Dr. Hewitt pumped and pumped on a bulb attached to it, and the bracelet got tighter and tighter. On the wall, a thing that looked like a thermometer went up and up, and then it slid slowly down. Orbie really liked that and wanted to try it on. Dr. Hewitt put it on Orbie's arm, and it went up and up and up and up and up and up and up. Everyone looked at each other, and then the doctor smiled at Orbie and said she thought that was perfectly fine for him. Orbie smiled. When the examination was all finished, Dr. Hewitt told Katie that she had tonsillitis. She needed to go home and rest in bed until it got better. Dr. Hewitt also gave Dad a piece of paper. As they drove home, they stopped at the pharmacy, and Orbie and Dad took the doctor's paper in. Dad told Orbie the pharmacist would give him the right pills to make Katie better. Orbie was glad. It wasn't until they got home and Katie went to bed and Dad made Katie a drink to take the pills with, and Mom got out the chicken soup, that he realized that Mom and Dad and the doctor and the pharmacist were all trying to make Katie feel better, but that it didn't happen right away. Orbie wasn't sure what he could do to help, but he thought of something. He went to the stuffies pile and pulled out Katie's oldest, most favorite teddy bear and brought it to her. And do you know that Orbie was sure Katie felt a bit better because she gave it a big hug, and him a big hug. And then she stuffed the bear right into bed with her. And if you're worrying about Katie, I should tell you that she did feel better the next day, and the day after that she felt better still, and the day after that she felt great.
Did you know? Did you know? Did you know bees need pollen from flowers to help make honey? When a bee finds some flowers, it flies back to the hive to tell the others. It doesn't draw a map. It does a little dance to tell them exactly where they can find them. Isn't that amazing?